The Mesozoic era was an evolutionary arms race. For every colossal predator like Allosaurus or the mighty Tyrannosaurus rex, there was an equally impressive herbivore that evolved extraordinary means to survive. They couldn't outrun them, so they had to outthink or outmuscle them. Today, we're exploring the ultimate defensive specialists, the armored and horned dinosaurs. We'll investigate three of the most famous: the plated Stegosaurus, the living tank Ankylosaurus, and the horned fortress Triceratops. How did their weapons and armor actually work? And what does the fossil evidence tell us? Our first offender lived in the late Jurassic, around 150 million years ago. This is Stegosaurus. It was a 30-foot-long plant eater that lived alongside one of the most fearsome predators of its time, Allosaurus. Its defensive system was twofold, and one part is far more mysterious than the other. Let's start with the obvious: the plates. These 17 large, kite-shaped plates, called osteoderms, were not attached to the skeleton, but were embedded in its skin. For decades, scientists debated their purpose. Were they armor? Almost certainly not. They were thin, filled with blood vessels, and left the animal's flanks completely exposed. A more popular theory was thermoregulation. The large surface area and network of blood vessels could have allowed Stegosaurus to absorb heat from the sun like a solar panel, or flush blood to the plates to cool down, like an elephant's ears. This is plausible, but many scientists now believe it was a secondary function. The leading modern theory? Display. Just like a peacock's tail or a deer's antlers, these plates were likely a billboard. They could have been brightly colored, used to attract mates, intimidate rivals, or make the Stegosaurus look much larger and more intimidating to an approaching Allosaurus. But what about active defense? For that, we look to the tail. Stegosaurus had a muscular, flexible tail tipped with 4 massive spikes, each up to 3 feet long. This weapon is famously known as the thagomizer. That name doesn't come from a scientific paper. It comes from a 1982 Far Side cartoon where a caveman lecturer points to the spikes, noting they are named after the late Thag Simmons. Paleontologists loved the name so much, it became the official, informal term. And the thagomizer was no joke. Unlike the plates, this was a deadly serious weapon. We have the smoking gun fossil, an Allosaurus tail vertebra with a large conical puncture wound. When scientists analyzed the wound, it perfectly matched the size and shape of a Stegosaurus tail spike. This was proof of a real-life battle. If you're enjoying this journey back in time, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more incredible dinosaur stories. Now we jump to the very end of the Cretaceous, 66 million years ago. The predators are now bigger, and the defenses have become even more extreme. This is Ankylosaurus, the most famous of the living tanks. It faced the apex predator of all time, Tyrannosaurus rex. Ankylosaurus's primary defense was its passive armor. Its entire body, from its head to its tail, was covered in thick, fused, bony plates called osteoderms, creating a nearly impenetrable shell. Even its eyelids were made of bone. For a T-Rex, trying to bite Ankylosaurus from above would be like trying to eat a boulder. This armor made it a slow, lumbering animal, but it didn't need to be fast. It just needed to hunker down, protect its soft underbelly, and wait for its chance to use its active weapon, the tail club. This wasn't just a lump of bone on a tail. The Ankylosaurus tail club was a marvel of biological engineering. The last third of its tail consisted of stiff, interlocking vertebrae that formed a handle, and the end was a massive, heavy knob of fused bone. Biomechanical studies have analyzed the forces this club could generate. A full-force swing from an adult Ankylosaurus could generate so much impact energy that it could easily shatter the leg bones of an attacking T-Rex. One well-placed shot could cripple the predator for life. But was this weapon just for predators? Recent research suggests another purpose: fighting each other. Fossils from a related ankylosaur named Zool, named after the Ghostbusters monster, show multiple injuries on its flank armor. These injuries are consistent with being struck by another Zool's tail club, suggesting they use them for territory or dominance, much like modern giraffes use their necks. Living at the same time and place as Ankylosaurus was our final defender, Triceratops. It was also a primary target for T-Rex, but it adopted a completely different defensive strategy. It wasn't about passive armor. It was about active, face-to-face combat. Triceratops's most obvious feature is its massive skull, which could be up to 8 feet long, nearly a third of its total body length. This skull featured two main defensive tools, the frill and the horns. The frill was a giant solid shield of bone sweeping back from its skull. Its purpose was likely threefold. First, it was a massive shield, protecting its neck and shoulders from a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Second, it was a huge anchor point for incredibly powerful jaw muscles, giving Triceratops a strong, shearing bite. And third, like the Stegosaurus's plates, it was almost certainly a display structure. Different ceratopsian species had wildly different frill shapes and spikes, strongly suggesting they were used for species recognition and to attract mates. Then, of course, there are the horns. Two long, massive brow horns and a shorter nose horn. In life, these bony cores would have been covered in a sheath of keratin, the same material as our fingernails, or a bull's horns, making them even longer and sharper. Did they use them against T-Rex? Absolutely. We have fossils of Triceratops with healed bite marks from T-Rex, proving they survived encounters. Even more amazing, we have a Triceratops horn fossil that shows signs of being bitten by a T-Rex, and then healing. This animal took a T-Rex to the face, fought it off, and lived to tell the tale. And just like Ankylosaurus, we have overwhelming evidence they used these weapons on each other. Paleontologists have found numerous Triceratops frills with puncture wounds, scrapes, and fractures. These wounds perfectly match the size and angle of another Triceratops's horns, showing they locked horns in shoving matches for dominance, just like modern-day horned mammals. From the display plates and spike-tipped tail of Stegosaurus, to the impenetrable armor and bone-breaking club of Ankylosaurus, to the facial horns and shield-like frill of Triceratops, these dinosaurs show there was no single solution to survival. This constant evolutionary arms race between predator and prey produced some of the most bizarre, specialized, and magnificent creatures to ever walk the earth. They were not just passive victims, they were biological fortresses, perfectly adapted to their world. Thanks for watching. Tap like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you won't miss our next prehistoric adventure.